Johnny, I understand there's been an academic study on the correlation between money supply and inflation. How does this impact on people's investments?
Well, the US election party is over. It looks pretty certain now that Joe Biden, will actually be elected and potentially throw the kitchen sink at the US economy and the economic mess in an effort to get all the bad news out of the way now. So in 4 years' time, the US economy is actually looking a lot better. As they say, there's no pain there's no gain without some sort of pain. And because of this, if you look at some of the statistics that are flying around, a UK investment house, Cazenove Capital, have said that we've had a bull market now for over 3,400 days. It's the longest bull market in US equities ever. And with the interest rates almost zero, there seems little opportunity for the governments to re-stimulate the economies by cutting interest rates. So what we've seen is various different analyses, and as you say, there's a study showing there's a 99.1% correlation between the rate of inflation and the money supply. And in a recent survey out of 160 different economists, 73% of them believe that COVID is going to be very deflationary. The trouble is, economists are a bit like a stop clock. They're usually right only twice a day out of 24 hours. So if we actually are going to see inflation coming back because of the amount of money being put in or because some other inflationary shock, what are the sort of alternatives that could impact on people's sort of portfolios and how could they hedge themselves? Well, the obvious one is index-linked gilts, i.e. you get a return directly related to inflation. And then you've got other things like gold, and increasingly Bitcoin is being seen as an alternative. And it's interesting, again, going back in time, looking at history, when America came off the gold standard, we saw that gold people didn't know what it was going to be used for, what its value was likely to be. And during the 70s, although it was a fantastic time for gold, actually, we saw some periods where it was really awful. So in 75, the price fell by 25%. And in 1979, it sort of went by over 120%. So Fidelity are now arguing that Bitcoin's volatility is very similar to gold in that it's having an intervention-resistant market, i.e. no central bank or government can step in as support or prop up the price of Bitcoin, and therefore not artificially subdue its volatility. So there's some alternatives people can now start considering, and maybe it's a time for you to start looking at savings and pensions before the proverbial hits the fan.